Thank you for staying with us on Channels Television and welcome to Newsroom series. I'm Olumide Macaulay, where we'll bring you stories from the different geopolitical zones of the country. Today, our focus is the Northwest region. But we begin with education. Generally, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, have embarked on a nationwide protest to highlight what it describes as the federal government's persistent neglect of its long-standing demands. At the University of Jos, members of the union staged a demonstration before addressing journalists where they announced their outright rejection of the recently introduced Tertiary Institution Staff Support Fund loan scheme. Speaking at the briefing in Jos, the branch chairperson says the initiative was not a solution, but a deliberate attempt to push lecturers deeper into financial hardship. According to him, the loan scheme was nothing but a poison chalice designed to impoverish university teachers rather than address the reality of the economic situation. The union insists that instead of offering loans, government should release the funds to settle outstanding obligations, which include unpaid salaries, earned academic allowances, promotion arrears, revitalization funds, wage awards, and third-party deductions that have not been remitted. ASUU further expressed anger over the refusal of the government to conclude the renegotiation of the 2009 FGN-ASUU agreement, accusing it of abandoning the principles of collective bargaining despite several years of engagement and the submission of reports by various committees. While ASUU insists it remains committed to dialogue, it warned that unless the federal government urgently addresses the issues, the universities risk sliding back into another round of crisis. Nigerian lawyer and activist Mr. Femi Falana has expressed strong opposition to the proposal by the Revenue, Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission to increase salaries of public officers. While speaking on the program Sunrise Daily today, Mr. Falana insists it's unjustifiable to consider salary increases for public officers when ordinary Nigerians are struggling to afford basic necessities, including healthcare and education for their children. Mr. Falana emphasized that the RMAFC's proposal contradicts the spirit of recent salary cuts implemented by Presidents Muhammadu Buhari and Bola Tinubu and urged the Commission to review its position for the benefit of the Nigerian people.
Cannot, in a democracy, have funds that are not accounted for. So the point I'm making therefore is that if you're going to review salaries of public officers, RANFAP must also carry along the National Commission on Salaries and Wages, so that when you're talking of public officers, you must also be talking of other public officers, other civil servants in the country. So we're not talking about elected politicians. RANFAP must take into cognizance that President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015 slashed his own salary and that of the vice president. In 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari slashed the ESTA code of public officers in Nigeria. Under this regime, President Bola Tinubu has also slashed the ESTA code of public officers to the tune of about 60%. So if members of the executive are taking cognizance of the economic situations in the country to call down the purposes of office of public officers, RANFA cannot turn around to be justifying increase when the ordinary poor people cannot afford 3 square meals a day. Many of them cannot send their children to school, and they cannot afford medical bills. That is not the time for public officers to want to justify increasing their stupendous salaries and allowances. So I am very confident that RANFAC will have to review his position so that it do not further provoke the Nigerian people. And that's the way I look at it.
To other reactions, this time concerning the economic reform of President Bola Tinubu, APC member Abdul Oyakere, speaking on Sunrise Daily this morning, stressed the recent rise in federal allocations to states from about 650 billion naira to over 2 trillion naira. He says it's important for states to be accountable for how they generate and spend their revenue. He pointed out that the naira is stabilizing after its float and the removal of the gap between official and black market exchange rates. He expressed optimism that current policies will help the economy grow.
The allocation, we just had Femi Falana, SAN, a statesman, speak about how the allocations from the federal government to the states and the units has now gone up to over 2 trillion naira from 650 billion it was before the subsidy removal. So I think, yes, the federal government has a role to play, but we must also hold the subnational units to account for what is going on in their states. The revenue has gone up in the states, and quite frankly, the naira has also been doing very well. When the naira was floated, removing the dichotomy between the black market and the official exchange rates, I was out of the country at the time, and within a short time of going out and coming back in 20 minutes, the naira had gone up from 430 naira to over 750 naira, just within 20 minutes. And it continued on that trajectory for a long time. But the economists in the countries kept telling us that, don't worry, this is going to stabilize. But there was panic, and it is natural with opposition to take advantage of these situations. But today now, we have seen the naira taking stability, and world organizations like the World Trade Organizations and others are beginning to give credence to the Nigerian economy, that the economy has attained stability. Now, to say that an economy has attained stability may not be properly understood by non-economists. But if you meet an economist or someone who follows the financial system and it tells you what it means to say an economy has attained stability, then you know that it is now time for growth. So these are some of the policies that we are looking out for. Yes, there was also the issue of the removal of subsidy, and one of the pushing effects was the enhanced rolling out of the CNG gas.
A passenger train traveling from Abuja to Kaduna has derailed this morning, leaving passengers on board in panic. It was gathered that the incident occurred in Jere area of Kaduna State after its departure from Abuja around 11 a.m. One of the passengers described the scene as chaotic, with people scrambling for safety in fear and confusion. It remains unclear what caused the derailment, and there's been no official confirmation of injuries or casualties. Security sources report that military personnel have been deployed to the scene to assist in evacuating stranded passengers. The National Railway Corporation says efforts are underway to move the passengers safely to Abuja. The Katsina state government has stepped up its fight against banditry with the purchase of 8 additional armored personnel carriers, APCs, to boost security operations across the state. With the new acquisition, the state now has 21 APCs, whom, when confirmed, or when combined rather, with the 21 earlier provided by the Nigeria Police Force, brings the total number available to about 42. The Commissioner for Internal Affairs, and Dr. Naziru Mwazu, announced this at a press briefing in the Government House in Katsina.
Let me use this opportunity to sympathize with our brothers and sisters in Malumfash local government, especially those in Gidamantau in Kebbi ward. We witnessed a very tragic incident that require all hands must be on deck. We have recorded this of 28 people, and we are sympathizing with the people of that community. And also, let us also thank His Almighty Allah for making our security agencies to have a coordinated plan that led to the rescue of 72 captives from the enclaves of the bandits. You know, banditry is a very dangerous phenomenon that requires development of both kinetic and non-kinetic nature. And His Excellency the Executive Governor has sufficiently demonstrated his resolve to deal with banditry in all its ramifications.
Speakers at a one-day dialogue series organized by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, NESG, in Kaduna, are calling for urgent political reform to strengthen Nigeria's electoral system. They stress that only transparent elections can allow citizens enjoy visionary leaders who are committed to solving national problems. Former Minister of National Planning, Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, laments the absence of a genuine social contract between the government and citizens. He noted that essential services such as education, healthcare, and security are missing, weakening trust in governance.
This dialogue brings together thought leaders, policymakers, academics, and private sector stakeholders to reflect on cultural, institutional, and attitudinal factors that drive national development.
At this point, I will be ceding...
The session is anchored on Development as Attitude, a book by Professor Osita Ogbu, co-chair of NESG, who highlights the role of accountability and citizen responsibility in achieving sustainable growth.
The attitude of leaders is extremely important. They don't want to understand the motivation behind the actions. They simply think that all actions must be tailored to their primordial instincts.
Highlighting Nigeria's 20 years of uninterrupted democratic rule, Dr. Shamsuddin Usman says peaceful transitions are commendable. However, he insists that without a social contract where citizens receive basic services, democracy remains incomplete.
Nobody is caring about the fundamentals of what the state owes to the city. And the first one is peace. Peace, security. I mean, look at this country today. How can development take place in the kind of atmosphere that we have?
Governor Uba Sani, represented by the Permanent Secretary in the State Ministry of Finance, Lawal Habib, adds that the dialogue aligns with Kaduna State's reforms in governance, fiscal responsibility, and inclusive growth.
We recognize that beyond financial management and resource allocation, it is the values and attitudes of both leaders and citizens that ultimately share the trajectory of sustainable development.
Participants also discuss how leadership thinking, citizen participation, and collective action influence development.
We need to reconstruct our politics to make sure that the leaders that people want are chosen.
There should be strategic plan or development plan where the budget is attached, is matching the expectation or the goal that he wants to achieve.
Development conversations should not be left to some big centers, right? Development is local, and we must hear voices from across the country to truly be able to generate new ideas.
The major takeaway from the NESG dialogue is that Nigeria's development journey requires a shift in collective mindset, from dependence to responsibility, from short-term fixes to long-term solutions, and from rhetoric to real action.
No fewer than 8 people have been killed and 8 more injured following 2 separate attacks by suspected gunmen at Angwanrimi village, Chawa Chiefdom in Kamaru ward of Kauru local government area, and Angwanfulani village in Hunkuyi local government of Kaduna. The Kauru attack comes almost 2 years that peace and security returned to southern Kaduna following the non-kinetic peace model initiated by the administration of Governor Uba Sani. Although the police in Kaduna are yet to confirm the incident, the chairman of the Development Association, Chief Abdul Adamu, said in a statement that the gunmen invaded Angwarimi in the early hours of Monday morning when the villagers were asleep and started shooting at them. He explained that the attackers came from Mango community in neighboring Basa local government of Plateau State following a crisis in that community that later spilled over to Kauru in Kaduna and that led to the killings. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has arrested a 55-year-old Muhammad Ali Abubakar, also known as Bello Karama, identified as the leader of a criminal syndicate at Malam Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano. The group is accused of planting illicit substances in the luggage of 3 unsuspecting Nigerians currently detained in Saudi Arabia on drug trafficking allegations. Speaking at a news conference in Abuja, the agency's Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, says the victims, Mrs. Miriam Hussein Abdullahi, Mrs. Abdullahi Bahija Aminu, and Mr. Abdul Hamid Sadiq were traveling for the Lesser Hajj when the syndicate members secretly checked in bags containing narcotics under their names. Joining us to shed more light on the situation is the Kano State NDLEA Commandant, Mr. Sadiq Abubakar, joining us from Kano. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, our viewers.
One can only imagine the surprise and the astonishment of those innocent Nigerians who are the victims of this syndicate to find that some unscrupulous people have planted drugs in their luggage. How do you think that the arrest of the syndicate will help to prevent other criminal minds from doing the same thing?
Sorry, I lost the sound.
Okay, I was saying that I was referring to the chagrin that the victims of the criminal syndicates must have felt when they found that their luggage included plants of narcotics in them by these criminals. How do you think this demonstrates the NDLEA's role, that is, uncovering that syndicate, in protecting innocent Nigerians?
Well, you see, it is really a very serious and pathetic situation for one to find himself in this kind of a situation, especially in another man's country, and support you psychologically. That is one thing. Then the other, again, is the fact that almost all Nigerians that are traveling to the Holy Land, they know the penalty of those that will be or that have been arrested, smuggling in narcotics into such countries. Of course, the penalty usually is capital punishment that may lead to death. So you can imagine an individual that has been arrested and, behind his, let me say inside his head, he's been disturbed thinking of what the outcome may be. And again, the offense that he knows that he did not commit, he has no knowledge whatsoever on it. So we thank God, the kind of leadership that we have in the agency, they're very swift.
Now, can you tell us how this could have happened in the first place?
And positive action was taken by action. Immediately, he said the ball rolling. We swung into action, and fortunately, by the grace of God, we were able to make some arrests here in Kano. Of course, the people that were arrested are people that are directly behind this criminal act. And of course, immediately our head office made contact, just like what we have had in the press release made by the Director of Media of the agency, that the agency, through the able leadership of General Marwa, made contact with our counterparts in Saudi Arabia so that we'll be able to at least strengthen our and their own investigation from the other side, so that they will know that, yes, the people that they have in their hands truly are innocent. So the ball game now is from this side now trying to prove their innocence, and by the grace of God, a remarkable step has been achieved towards that.
Mr. Abubakar, can you share with us how it was possible for the criminals to check in luggage under the names of those innocent Nigerians, and what the NDLEA can do to prevent a recurrence? Do you think there was some complicit behavior on the part of airport staff? How did it happen? Can I repeat the question for you?
Yeah, from I think. Sorry, come again?
Yeah, please go on. If you heard the question, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying that it is a work of definitely a syndicate. An individual alone cannot be able to do that. You need some other people that will, aid in whatever you are doing. And of course, a person coming from outside will definitely not have access in doing that. So it must be the handwork of insiders, people that know how the system works, and people that are highly corrupt. But we thank God, this.
We do apologize, Mr. Abubakar. We couldn't hear you. You couldn't hear me for a while. We apologize to our viewers for some of the distortion in that live conversation I was having with Mr. Sadiq Abubakar, the NDLEA commandant in Kano. I will leave that conversation there. We thank you so much, sir, for coming on Newsroom series. He's highlighting the efforts of the NDLEA to combat drug trafficking and uncovering what happened in the case of drugs that were found in the luggage of innocent drugs that were found in the luggages of innocent Nigerians. Thank you so much, Mr. Sadiq Abubakar, the NDLEA commandant, Kano State. Now, elsewhere, Kebbi State Governor, Mr. Nasir Idris, reaffirmed the state's strong support for President Bola Tinubu's 2027 ambition for president. He says this is because of the many federal government projects already executed in Kebbi under the president's leadership. The governor made the statement during a condolence visit by the president's daughter, the Yaoloja General of Nigeria, Folashade Tinubu Ojo, at the government house in Benin, Kebbi. The delegation visits to sympathize with the state over the passing of the Emir of Zuru. Governor Idris explained that while the visit is to condole with the people, it also provided an opportunity to appreciate President Tinubu for his continued support and love for Kebbi State.
Here in Kebbi State, we don't have option because we have never had it so good like in the leadership of Mr. President Bola Ahmed. And Mr. President, we pleaded with him to give us Federal College of Education, technical, in Yauri. And Mr. President graciously approved it. They are now building their permanent site. We have another route that was being abandoned, that is Koko, Bese, Zaria, Kalakala, Otuwagudu. That Mr. President also awarded that company contract to Habib Nigeria Limited. The work is ongoing. Another one is Nasimi, Bui, Kangiwa, Kamba, up to part of Niger Republic, Gaya. And that contract is being awarded. The companies are on the side, they are working assiduously.
The Kaduna state government is working with UNICEF on the state budget, planning to prioritize children's needs for health, education, and welfare. Nanchin Vincent reports.
Kaduna State Government and United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, have held a 5-day workshop in Kano to prioritize child-sensitive budgeting. The training workshop aims at having adequate provision for children's services in the budget for sustainable development.
I'm sure that by the time we finish here, it's going to be mostly like a refresher. For most of them have known these things, but like they said in Hausa, Ankara, the Chokagara, the Wanka. So this is what we are doing here, like a refresher for them to, make it better. And the document, I'm sure, at the end of the day, when they finish this training, we are going to have a very good budget. So our expectation is that they will come out here better informed and with the skill to do a budget. We will save us time and energy. Because if they understand it very well, we'll reduce the time that we do the budgets. We'll also have new insights into, the world best practice on how to go about doing these things.
The UNICEF Social Policy Officer noted that the training will also strengthen the ministry's capacity to integrate child-focused planning and implementation.
We want to see the issues of children, especially in 4 focal areas of health, education, water and sanitation, and social protection, to be reflected in the budget. And just like the Director of Budget and Budget rightly said, that is timely because they are in the process of finalizing the MTEF and other budget processes. And I would like to say that this is just one of the activities we plan to roll out in the following weeks.
The sessions was to tackle challenges and align the budget process with government priorities, particularly on children-related programs. From Kano Commercial City, Nanchin Vincent, Channels Television News.
Some members of the All Progressives Congress in Gada local government area of Sokoto State have defected to the ADC, the African Democratic Congress. Receiving the new members, a leading figure in the opposition, Senator Abubakar Gada, explains that the defectors are joining the ADC to help rescue Nigeria from the many challenges facing the country. He added that the Eastern Senatorial District of Sokoto is struggling with serious security problems that disrupt farming activity, causing widespread poverty, unemployment, and hunger.
In my own area here, where we have the highest agricultural production in the Sokoto Eastern Zone, we are bedeviled by the insecurity like most part of the federation. We are concerned, we are highly troubled by the insecurity menace that is bedeviling our community and our state and our nation. The only condition for prosperity is peace, and there can't be any progress without peace. We have to put our hands together as a community, put our hands together as political leaders, put our hands together as opinion leaders to be able to see how much we can partner with all the security partners to see that this country is out of this present disaster, out of the present tragic consequences of insecurity in our beloved state.
That's it on Newsroom series today. Thank you for watching. I'm Olumide McCall.